All right, welcome back to another round of Modern Mondays here at Guardian Games. I am Travis Cooper, hanging out with
Urchin Collie. And
and the suspense builds.
Ian Lunger.
we are all here tonight with you. Portland Paper, Modern Mondays, 4 rounds, Paper Magic the Gathering here at Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon.
Is this a 3 for 2 or 3 for 1, or how would we describe commentary this evening?
Endless value.
Okay. And so for our first match, it looks like we have, I like Combustible Red. That's a good name.
Boom, boom.
We've seen this once on camera before. It's pretty fun. Versus
good.
Azorius Stoneblade.
So, last time we saw Bradley was when he took down the big 4-0 a couple weeks back. The epic no-lander turn 1 Rabble Master win without ever playing a land game. Probably not the ideal strategy against Stoneblade, but we'll see what happens when he doesn't just run away with the game.
I guess
Master.
usually when you're playing a card like Simian Spirit Guide, to power out something pretty quickly, you're down on lands or down on cards. But the nice thing about this for Bradley is in Alder's removal is mostly going to be a Path to Exile. So even if you're playing on like 1 land Simian Spirit Guide, 2 land Simian Spirit Guide, once your creature gets passed, you'll open up your further turns.
Yeah, as long as you don't run out of cards, that's going to be great. But Azorius Stoneblade definitely running a lot of that small interaction that can punish going too far in on your early plays.
Yeah, it looks like I see a Force of Negation, a Deprive, a Path to Exile, and a Geist? Either a Geist or a Spellqueller.
See it?
Is that it?
That's a Spellqueller.
Spellqueller.
I saw in Bradley's hand at least, I believe, a Rabble Master and a Ritual. I did also a Lightning Bolt. Didn't see what else is there yet. Hello, Mad Cow Chicken 3. Welcome to chat, and welcome everybody who's here again. We love you all. Alder picking up a Celestial Colonnade, going to put it into play tapped and pass the turn. Bradley picking up the Stomp guy. Bone Crusher Giant. So here's a Gemstone Caverns, Pyretic Ritual, and Goblin Rabble Master. Here we go again. Get in with the unglued token.
And I feel like this might eat a Path to Exile, but it looks like Bradley had a couple of Eidolon or the Great Revels in hand. I'm curious, did you hear what Bradley named on Cavern?
That's Gemstone Caverns.
Oh, okay.
So he named Colorless Mana. Bradley picking up another Lightning Bolt. If he can, he's got the. Oh, never mind. I imagine that was
Pre-combat?
Pre-combat. Gonna get in for 1 with the token.
Oh, it looks like I saw some Harsh Mentors in Bradley's deck when he was thumbing through it for the basic mountain.
So Eidolon of the Great Revel gonna do an awful lot of work here, I believe. Doesn't hit everything in Alder's deck, but certainly hits a lot of it. He doesn't have the second red this turn, so Alder's gonna get through an opt end a turn.
And we'll have Spellqueller mana up if that's where we want to be. But
Nope. We would rather play Stoneforge Mystic. So actually recently I've been thinking about blue-white decks, and there's actually blue-white are some of the better tempo colors in Modern right now. And one of the things, oh, never mind, gonna eat a stomp. Still gonna fetch a piece of equipment. And the Stoneblade decks play sort of a tempo game, but Stoneforge Mystic actually sticks out a bit like a sore thumb because you're tapping down on 2 for it. But definitely putting on some formidable pressure in colors that otherwise may struggle to put on that.
yeah, I've occasionally seen in the past few weeks, now that Oko's gone, there's been some Delver lists that have popped up in the 5-0 dumps. And so, yeah, it's nice to see that card coming back to Modern.
Yeah, I like the idea of tempo. I want to see where it goes right now because I haven't spent all that much time looking into it, but I'm very curious. Bradley gonna untap now with 2 mountains. Picks up another Rabble Master. Double Bolt, double Eidolon. Rabble Master seems great. Here's the Rabble Master. Get another token. Keep the pressure on.
It's a A-game on tokens there.
Oh yes, love them. Alder gonna crack that Flooded Strand. Just grab a tapped land and or cast a spell. Can't hear what he's up to.
If Alder is playing Teferi, I really like Rabblemaster against Teferi. Just having the token left over to be able to knock Teferi off the board after the bounce is super helpful.
Oh, yeah.
So we've reached the part of the game where Alder has a lot of answers to spells on the stack in hand. We've got a Spell Queller, we've got a Deprive, but Bradley's built up a significant amount of permanence here.
Yeah, Rabblemaster honestly takes over very, very quickly if you don't have a way to deal with it. Alder had an answer for the first one, but not the second one. Bradley now sitting on 3 bolts and 2 Eidolons. This is not great for Alder.
I kind of like going to attacks here for Bradley and maybe forcing Alder to play a defensive Spell Queller if that's something you have in mind that Alder might have.
I like that as well. Well, we're going to see Snap Path before combat. Bradley's going to say, okay, I have more mountains to cast these lightning bolts. You don't know it, Alder, but you're at 6. Get in with 2 goblins.
Alder is one land away from casting the Batterskull for its full CMC.
How do you feel about, in this particular position with the Snapcaster God and the Stoneforge God, just double bolting a Batterskull to get it out of the way?
100% down for that.
Absolutely what I'd do. So here's an Eidolon of the Great Revel. Just make your day that much harder, Alder. Bradley not feeling pressured, not too worried about taking those triggers himself.
I think the issue you will have with double bolting the Batterskull is if Alder has a Force of Negation. That's kind of problematic.
Yeah. Good thing Bradley's holding 3 lightning bolts. Now Alder does have a Deprive available. Deprive, Spell Queller. Oh, he has none of those available. The Spell Queller wears a Batterskull pretty well, though. Gonna pick up a Legion War Boss.
Well, we do literally have 3 lightning bolts here.
I wasn't joking.
I kind of like leading off with the... Oh,
Dead.
Wow, I'm surprised that Alder didn't Force of Negation one of those.
Does he have it?
I thought I saw Force of Negation.
Oh, he did earlier. You're right. He didn't. He had only Queller and Deprive to pitch and decided not worth it, I suppose. Because now I guess the plan is block with Queller, equip Batterskull later. I mean, Bradley couldn't be holding a 3rd bolt, right? Looks like that may in fact be the plan. Bradley smells it. You know he does.
I do kind of like playing the...
Oh, it's Snap, Deprive, Deprive Queller.
Oh, okay. Snapcaster also does a fine job of wearing a Batterskull.
True. Eidolon of the Great Revel.
The Deprives get a little bit awkward here.
Take 2 Deprive. Set you back on mana. Makes it hard to equip that Batterskull or play anything. The Queller now will be meaningful as a blocker. Legion War Boss. Hitting the battlefield.
So if you're Bradley here... Oh, we don't even have to...
Whoop.
Have to ask the question.
Nope. Ugh.
And this is actually disaster.
It is.
If you're on Bradley's side. This is kind of the turning point of the game, as now Bradley does not have the bolt up, and Alder will be able to equip the Batterskull and gain back 6 life next turn.
Do you think there was a way of reading the game from Bradley's side that would have led him to attack just with the Eidolon and the token into the empty board and have that bolt available for Queller? Do you think you would have read that?
Bolt still would have gotten deprived at that point, though.
After the first deprive?
Oh, you mean to have cast Eidolon, get it countered, and then just swing in?
To have a
We can
cast
go.
Eidolon, have it countered, hold the bolt, go to just go to combat from there and hold the bolt for a potential color block, or just get through for 3. And then he can never equip until. Okay, Alder
So Alder didn't equip
didn't
here.
equip. We are all the way back to Bradley's side. Alder just blocking the Eidolon.
I wonder why Alder didn't equip there.
Holding up the deprive, I suppose. Though if Bradley keeps the mountain up, he can now respond to the equip. And if Alder taps down to equip, he can't deprive the bolt. Gonna deprive the Bone Crusher Giant. Okie dokie.
Yeah, I guess I just don't see the downside to.
And here it is. You don't see the downside?
Downside to equipping Batterskull to Spell Queller, because it seems like gaining 6 life is like basically countering 2 spells.
I agree. When Bradley's tapped down, I think that's the way to go. But unfortunately, that bolt ate an Archmage's Charm, again with no equip. Now we've got the Force of Negation.
Alder is playing this very, very carefully. I'm really surprised that we're not starting to turn the corner already with the Batterskull.
So here's a hard cast Simian Spirit Guide. Alder bounces the Batterskull into turn. Decides a 6/7 flying lifelink. Ain't enough. Mystic Sanctuary top Archmage's turn. And Batterskull. Get a germ. Alright, not looking good for Bradley anymore.
And with 2 lands in hands. Let's.
Is it the Red Castle?
It is.
What does the Red Castle do?
It gives. I think it gives your team +1/+0.
Right.
Yes, so it is Castle Embereth, and it is 1 and 2 red, I believe. Tap it, give your team +1/+0 until end of turn.
4th or 5th best castle?
Oh, I'm gonna say 5th.
Okay.
But all the castles are actually decent.
Yeah. Alder gets in. Bradley makes some blocks, but it's not looking good here.
And knowing that if I'm Bradley, knowing that I just have a land in hand and my opponent has an Archmage Charm plus Batterskull plus Spell Queller, I'm almost at the point where I want to scoop it up for time's sake.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to play it out here. Worth noting, Mad Cow Chicken, this is not red prowess. This is a different color of red Bradley's playing here. But right now,
A different flavor of mountain.
it's a different flavor of mountain. It's,
Bradley's on kind of turboing out creatures with Simian Spirit Guides, rituals, Goblin Rabble Master, Legion Warboss, etc.
It's like a Scred Red, or the modern version of Chonky Red, if I may.
well, full freight, burst, lightning, force of negation. Bradley packs it in. Yeah, he's playing 8 Goblin Rabble Master deck. But let's look at the sideboards, because I think that's where things get interesting, especially for Bradley. Bradley's sideboard: 2 Blood Moon, 3 Abrade, 4 Leyline of Combustion, 2 Goblin Chain Whirler, 3 Leyline of Punishment, and 1 Anger of the Gods.
All the ley lines.
All the ley lines, especially those ley lines of combustion. Those are the... Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. He's got both red ley lines, but that's the one where if your stuff gets targeted,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
deals 2 damage. Yeah.
2 damage to the opponent.
I feel like those are usually better in like versus Jund or Jeskai or something that's
Sure.
targeting your stuff with more than like 1 spell, but it seems like could be decent. I actually think Blood Moon could be good in this matchup. Usually against blue-white decks before Mystic Sanctuary was printed, there was a lot of basics, but I feel like now you're playing 2, 3 Mystic Sanctuaries, plus you're maxing out on your islands, so Hallowed Fountains, etc., and you're incentivized to not get basic planes early in
Yeah.
the game, so Blood Moon could actually shut off some white cards.
Yep. And then Alder here has brought with him 1 Ashiok Dreamrender, 1 Vendilion Cleek, 1 Jace the Mind Sculptor, 1 Spellskite, 1 Disdainful Stroke, 1 Damping Sphere, 1 Sword of Fire and Ice, 1 Timely Reinforcements, 2 Celestial Purge, 1 Rest in Peace, 1 Surgical Extraction, 1 Supreme Verdict, and 2 Mystical Disputes. I'm sure you caught all of that. What do you like?
Fire and Ice seems decent, and I'd probably bring in the Spellskite too, not knowing what Bradley had on the board, but whenever you're playing just a mono red deck, you're assuming they're going to have some kind of shatter effects, and Spellskite does good in protecting both your artifacts and your creatures, so
I like the
those.
Timely.
Timely also, yeah, I like that.
Do you bring Celestial Purge here?
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. That seems like a reasonable answer if Bradley chooses to go the Blood Moon route.
And I feel like if Alder's probably taking out some amount of counterspells, you know, Force of Negation, while good, doesn't hit the creatures.
Yeah.
And that can be kind of a dead card.
Force of Negationing a Lightning Bolt is not where you want to be. So, everything's all over the place right now in Modern. It's a lot of experimentation going on.
Yeah, it's fun. I've really enjoyed playing Modern lately. I feel like there's a lot of different viable decks you could be playing. The things that were sort of tier 2 and 3 that were pet decks that people had, you know, now that everything doesn't get turned into an elf, those can sometimes win some games and, you know, do some brewing too. So, yeah, Modern's great.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the pieces that were being played and have to get reimagined are, you know, people are getting to work with them in new shells. You still see people playing Urza. You still see people playing, actually, that Blue-Green Titan deck that I honestly thought was going to disappear because it wasn't hunting the Urza deck anymore has turned into its own thing just because it's got the new Titan, the blue-green one, which is showing up everywhere. Yes, Uro the pushed as hell. This card is extremely good, showing up in a lot of different decks.
Yeah, sorry. When I was looking at all the spoilers for Theros, I was actually pretty happy that they, in general, seemed to power down Standard, which I was afraid they weren't going to do. But there are a few cards that are like, ooh, wow, that's real good, and kind of pushed. And Uro's one of them. Also, the Ox.
Oh yeah.
Combustible.
Ox.
Yep, seems pretty powerful.
Yeah. So Uro here is kind of at base a 3-mana Growth Spiral, gain 3. That ain't bad. And then for 4 and exile 5, you can do it again, get a 6/6. I've seen worse. Now
the trigger happens whenever it attacks, which to me seems insane, not just when it ETBs.
Sure, why not? Yeah, I'm really just trying to set myself up to Spellqueller one of these guys because I feel like that's the only way I'm ever gonna stick it to him in a way that I feel truly satisfied with. And yeah, hello to everybody in chat. It's great you finally made the stream live. And Combustible Red is in short, it's 8 Goblin Rabble Masters and some burn spells, some Eidolons. It's a red beatdown deck.
And they're playing both of the red ley lines on the sideboard.
Yeah.
So one of the ley lines, Ley Line of Combustion, says whenever a permanent you control is the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, it deals 2 damage to the opponent. And the ley line of other red says your opponents can't gain life and damage can't be prevented. Do you remember what the other ley line's called?
Ley Line of Punishment.
There we go. Do you ever think you
What?
do you ever think you bring in all of the ley lines against a deck?
I can't imagine. I mean, I can imagine decks where you could use them both to reasonable effect. I'm not sure you want to be playing 7 enchantments in this deck ever, but if you were playing against, like, I mean, burn targets. Well, nope, I can't think of them.
I saw Ley Line of Combustion versus Storm, and it was pretty just like game over.
Nice creep shot. All right. We're going to get started again. Hey, Gnuglo, good to see you again. Here is that Ley Line of Punishment, actually. He's decided he's not tangling with Batterskull this game. Mountain Pass. It's not really a prison deck. It is like Red Prison, except with all the beatdown elements and none of the prison elements.
It feels kind of like if you did like all in red, but then mix that with like the 8 Rebel Master deck almost, where it's less about controlling the board and more about just like playing really early big threats. I know Bradley's also playing the Torbrand.
Yeah, he did just pick one up. He's playing the triple pip red card from Eldraine Torbrand, which adds 2 to any red source that you control that deals damage, adds 2 more. Bradley looks like he kept this hand mostly on the back of this ley line because he has gone 2 turns without putting anything else on the board, and that is not exactly where he wants to be. Alder finding a second land, gonna crack that flooded strand, got a Stoneforge Mystic in hand.
I see at least one other Stoneforge in Alder's hand, if not 2.
Also a Spell Snare in there. Gonna grab the Batter Skull, gonna bolt the Stoneforge. We still want that Batter Skull, Alder. Interesting choice. Okay, we've picked up a second Torbrand for Bradley. No third land. Ouch.
Well, that's sometimes what happens when you play an all-in deck.
So all in, you're all out. All right, Torbrand. Here we go. Stoneforge again. Here's the Sword of Fire and Ice. Seems great here. Unfortunate. Hey, look, it's a recent Magic card with room for flavor text.
Just a little bit.
Just, I mean, all the recent cards, rare and above, just no room.
Oh.
6 abilities. Here's a Rabble Master at last. Ugh. A bolt for the second Stoneforge. A path for the Rabble Master.
Well, now we get a Torbrand mana up, so
Yep.
it's everything's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it.
Sure. We got a Celestial Purge pickup for Alder. Still the Spell Snare, the Opt, the Force of Negation.
Yeah.
Stayed in. Interesting.
That's
Also a Snapcaster.
a lot of cards.
He's got a full grip.
I guess that's what happens when you're trading your Stoneforges to put an equipment in your hand and have your opponent discard a card.
Yep. Here's Torbrand. Not everything you want right now if you're Bradley, though. Dun dun dun.
I like how he looks.
Can I just comment for a minute that Alder has... I think that's a 7th edition whiteboarded island and a gorgeous Mirage Plains. And that I personally feel massively tilted by these basics. How do you feel about whiteboarded core set islands?
I feel like I've heard there's arguments why you want them in your deck, like ease of searching, but if you're just sort of mix and matching, obviously it seems kind of intentional to have older lands for Alder here, but I'm not sure what we're going for. I'm going to reserve judgment. Maybe that'll be a little private conversation.
I'm not. Alder picked up a Brazen Borrower here. Bradley has the second Torbrand. He's got another Rabble Master and another Leyline of Punishment. This is not going well.
It does look like Alder missed a land drop.
He's gonna be okay. So, Celestial Purge, your Rabble Master, untap. Ugh.
I guess I maybe would have opted for land there, but I guess if you're gonna hardcast Force Mitigation, you can opt it in step.
Torbrand. Again.
This is a little awkward seeing Leyline of Punishment rather than Leyline of Combustion here, as Leyline of Combustion is a much better combo with Torbrand, and would be netting Bradley quite a bit more damage as these Torbrands get taken off the field.
Boink. Brazen Borrower, Torbrand back to your hand. Yeah, I haven't seen any Horizon lands out of Bradley's deck. Alder just taking his time. He's picked up the timely reinforcements.
So I guess Bradley is incentivized to recast this Torbrand, which is going to work out well for Alder, then casting the timely the next turn.
This is really unfortunate.
Huh.
Alder not interested in that line. Just going to snap, opt, and step. Gonna find that land, hopefully.
I would have been really tempted for the timely there personally, but
Yeah, me too. I mean, there's just gets you ahead on board, and you have every opportunity to snap path later. And you know Bradley's flooded, so path is free. Gonna put a Hallowed Fountain into play, tap, pass back. Bradley picks up a Bone Crusher Giant. Gonna have a shotgun on hand, which is in fact a... What do you call a 1 mana 4 damage?
Galvanic Blast.
With
oh.
Metalcraft, if you can imagine such a thing. Tarbrand gets in, Snapcaster blocks. Now Timely's ready to go. Here's another Ley Line of Punishment.
You're super not gaining life, Alder, if you even thought about gaining some life.
You're going to take damage for the thought of it. This is not good.
If Alder actually does something about this, it's a big win in Bradley's book.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a big win, I think, for Bradley.
I'm questionable use of Counterspell on Alder's side there.
It seems like Alder has the tools just in terms of attacking to win without having to worry about gaining life.
Yeah, Alder has everything he needs here. And as a general rule, when you're playing a control deck, you don't counter the spells that don't really matter.
Maybe Alder really wants to bounce the Ley Line so that we can play that timely and gain some life instead of just making tokens.
That's a heck of a mini game, I feel like, when there are more direct routes, but...
I was just trying to analyze, see what the train of thoughts might be for...
Oh, sure. It's, it's not a do-nothing line by any means.
So if I'm Bradley here, I'm seriously considering stomping this snap before Alder can go to blocks. I think if you're in Bradley's situation, Alder has a handful of cards, and you need to just try and push through as much as you can before Alder can actually start deploying the cards in their hand.
Bradley not taking that route, hoping to save that Bone Crusher Giant for something else. He's got a Magus of the Moon, gonna drop that into play. Will cut Bradley off casting that Borrower in future turns, makes that Archmage's Charm look very awkward. It's a pretty effective Magus, even with 2 basics on Alder's side.
I think Alder targeted the Celestial Purge, though, with the Snapcaster. Maybe thinking of purging the Ley Line?
Maybe. Yeah, he did. Ugh. Ugh. Rough. So many cards.
Well, I'm kind of interested in just stopping Alder.
Believe that was the plan the entire time. Torbrand gets in. Here's Path. Path hold priority. Oh, Bradley's responding. Missed that. Bone Crusher Giant. Gonna snare the Stomp. Path, get a land. Ugh.
I think did we exile that Celestial Purge?
We did not. I'm gonna go tap on the glass. Oh no, he did.
Okay, great.
Confirmed Celestial Purge has been exiled. That's just a second graveyard.
This is the point where if you're on Bradley's side, you really want to draw Big Chandra. Biggest Chandra.
Even bigger than that, Chandra.
Oh, I wonder, is Bradley playing that card?
No.
That would
I
be
wish.
real sweet.
Yep. Well, a couple weeks ago, Bradley took it down in the 4th round for the undefeated win. This does not appear to be his night tonight, but
Yeah,
he could take down the 3-1.
You're playing against a deck that has like their general card quality is very good in Blue-White Stoneblade, and you're playing a deck that has like rituals and Simian Spirit Guides in it. So once we
no.
get to the late game, it's pretty bad.
Oh, no. This is not a matchup Bradley wants to see at all. He's going to get taken down by cards, taken down by board presence. Just, it doesn't line up well. He's slower than traditional burn. And Alder just has the inevitability very quickly. Ugh. Sword of Fire and Ice. Ugh. Equip it. Nope, don't equip it.
I
Okay.
think Alder's holding up the counter spell for a shatter effect here instead of going for the super greedy equip play.
Fair enough. Here is an Eidolon of the Great Revel. I think, again, if I'm Alder, I let it go, but here's a Queller.
Kind of works out for Bradley. We're going to give Bolt the Spell Queller.
Yeah, I think if I'm Alder there, I let the Eidolon resolve, and if I'm really worried about it, I just fire it next turn on the attack.
Oh, we saw Bradley pass with that lightning bolt up.
Okay, I think he's going to respond to the equip, but then it gets re-equipped. Ugh. Here's the first equip.
Yeah, I think it's tough to not fire the bolt off there if you're Bradley, as letting Alder have mana back is it's a tough place to be.
And the bolt eats a counter, and Bradley packs it up. So that's Alder taking this match down 2-0 in round 1. We have 13 minutes left. I'm going to go see if anyone's shuffling up for another game.
See if we can get a final game 3 in here.
We'll be right back.
Alright, welcome back to still round number 1, but our final little game 3 action here of a different match. We are hanging out at Guardian Games for Modern Mondays. I'm Travis Cooper. I'm here with
Urchin Golly and
Ian Lunger.
And we found you a game 3 between Jay and Jonas. It's a matchup between Blue White Control and 5-color Nivtalite. Jonas played 5-color Niv at a PTQ, I believe, at Magic Fest Portland, and took 5th with it. So he's been studying this deck and seeing some good success with it. We're going to see what he's got here. I see Bird of Paradise, Veil of Summer to Fairy Time Reveler, Astrolabe. Not interested, gonna send it back.
I feel like the deck is really strong in the right matchups. If you're playing any kind of grindy attrition-based matchup, the Nivtalite is just kind of bonkers in that. You have planeswalkers that generate you value, usually like 3 to 4 Wrenn and 6s. You get to fairies to fight against counter spells, and then just Nib as it effectively draws you, usually 5 cards whenever you cast it. I feel like the issue with the Nivtalite deck is it has a lot of one-ofs that are conditionally really powerful, but sometimes like don't do anything, and you can just draw like a bunch of like Kaya's Guiles and Dreadbores that are.
I think people have tuned the lists pretty hard to get away from that problem because you have this diverse set of interaction, and the more that the list has been tuned, I think the more you want, the more there's been an effort to go towards things that aren't quite so narrow, but sort of are overlapping, so they're all at least vaguely relevant. You know, a lot of lightning helixes. You know, Dreadbore is not usually dead. But we'll see what happens. Jonas here going to start off on a snow-covered swamp. Play an Arkham's Astrolabe, draw a card, pass it back. Jay untapping that Mystic Sanctuary he played on turn 1. Hallowed Fountain. Let's take our time, pass it back. I really think Nivtalite is a control deck, in essence.
I almost view it as like a Jund. And I see Jund as kind of a control deck too, where you are trying to play a lot of permanents and you're not interacting a ton on the stack except for like damage or removal spells. Post board, you do have Veil of Summer, as most decks that play green have in their sideboards. Yeah.
So it looks like Jonas last turn drew... Oh, here's Ashiok Dreamrender for Jay, which is going to incentivize Jonas to immediately crack that Windswept Heath before he can't go get a land. Keep setting up those colors. If you want a definition of a greedy mana base, this is one. And he's going to struggle a lot just on his land base, getting around that Ashiok. He picked up a Kaya Orzhov Usurper for turn. I am imagining that the goal of that is to clean up Mystic Sanctuary targets and Snapcaster targets.
I think it's a one-of usually in the deck, as you know, something you can get off Niv that occasionally is one of those blowout cards, and then sometimes it just exiles your opponent's graveyard.
Yep.
And while Jonas does have 2 fetch lands in hand that won't do anything currently, there is also Pillar of Perunes, so Jonas will be able to get up to 3 mana and cast the Kaya and at least present a threat here.
Make that 2 Pillar of Perunes. Those are pretty good draws. Here's Kaya. I'm gonna eat that opt. Back to Jay here.
I think for 4 ofs, Niptalite is usually playing 3 or 4 Lightning Helixes, and you have either your birds or your goose as a 4 of, and then Rin and 6 is usually a 4 of, and Teferi 3, but everything else is a 1 or 2.
Yeah, looks like Jonas picked up a Drown in the Loch, so he's holding Niv Mizzet, Drown in the Loch, Veil of Summer, and...
I believe a Bring to Light was in there as well.
Okay. He's just going to play land and ship it back. Snapcaster and step. We also uptick Kaya for no value.
Jonas might be thinking of just countering that.
I wouldn't be against it.
But I don't think we can counter it because there
Yeah,
you're right.
you know it's a
Never
Nombo.
mind.
Yeah.
Kaya.
That's awkward.
And Drown in the Loch.
I think that's sort of what I was getting at initially, is there's a lot of really powerful cards in the deck, but there's some dyssynergies and just like, randomly, like Kaya's not really doing anything here at all.
So Drown in the Loch is a powerful card when it's powerful, but it requires a little more thought than just jamming in your deck, which is why I haven't loved it as a main deck card, unless you're playing a deck that's actively enabling it. And here we're seeing some counter synergy between the Kaya and the Drowns. Jay thinking about a Field of Ruin end step. He's going to take out that pillar. Makes sense to me, no search. Just going to strip mine, yeah.
Well, Jonas gets the search because Ashiok's abilities your opponents control can't cause you to search, so not quite as powerful, when you're casting Path Exiles or Field of Ruins. So.
Pardon me. We do not have the lists here. This is just our little Monday Modern tournament. We see a lot of fun stuff, but we do not have players submit deck lists.
I've recently started to play Ashiok in the sideboard of my control decks, mostly playing Jeskai, and it's like been a real house against all the Titan decks.
Oh, yes.
Ashiok prevents your opponents from searching their library with effects that they control, but if it's an effect that, as the owner of Ashiok, you control, then your opponents can search the library.
Jonas here with 4 functional lands and 2 locked fetch lands. Just going to keep adding counters to that Kaya. Snapcaster keeps getting in. This is a staring contest that's eventually going to tip Jay's way unless something else happens, but one more land could give Jonas access to Niv Mizzet. He's picked up a Ren and 6, which could help him get that pillar back if it's resolves, but I think that's unlikely.
I believe Jonas does have a veil, so if Jonas does want to fight this war, I think we could see the veil fired off here.
I think he has to. He's got nothing else going on.
But I do think he will lose to Jay in this counter war, likely.
Likely. I see a Narset and an Opt in Jay's hand. I'm not sure what the third card is, but he may opt in response, see what he can find. Oh, it's a Cryptic Command. Never mind. Ugh. And bounce one of your lands back. Set you back again. No Niv for you.
That's pretty
rough.
heads-up play by Jay, because, I mean, Jay probably just loses to Niv Mizzet right here, like hardcast, because Bring to Light is sort of off the table with Ashiok on board, so just buying yourself a couple turns to find an answer.
I mean, one Snapcaster Mage is plenty ahead on board enough for blue-white. And here's Narset, Parter of Veils, just going to cut off
I'm really wanting to find Cryptic
everything.
Command.
Yeah. Jay is currently running without any counter magic, picks up a Dispute, which he can hardcast, so he has another mana leak, which is going to be very effective against Jonas's number of functional lands.
Also, it hits Niv Mizzet, because Niv Mizzet's blue.
Niv Mizzet is everything. Niv Mizzet is all of us. Niv Mizzet is unlikely to hit the battlefield this game. Jay can crack fetches. Jay does crack a fetch. Continues to make land drops. Winning the land drop war in the control mirror.
Yeah, it seems like Jay is just looking for a finisher at this point. Like a Planeswalker like Jace would be really great right now to prevent a win condition.
Yeah, he's got a Colonnade, but I think he's so well set up that he's more interested in setting up complete inevitability, which I think makes a lot of sense. He grabs an Opt over a Path, no fear.
Yeah, Colonnade feels like either you have the game locked up and your opponent doesn't have any cards, or sort of like a desperation attack of like, I have to end this game soon.
Yeah. And I think Jay knows that at any moment, Jonas can play a fifth land, and he can have to deal with a Niv or a Bring to Light.
Yeah, the card quality in this Niv to Light deck is extremely high, so yeah, definitely in Jay's best interest to just keep things from resolving, period.
And here's that Drown in the Lock. Gonna keep Teferi out of here, because that blanks all of Jonas's instant speed interaction. Get out of here. Jay ships it back. Alright, that's a checklist card. Search me,
Huntmaster,
man.
maybe? Yeah.
It is Huntmaster. Alright.
Huntmaster of the Fells. It is a 2/2. It comes into play, makes a wolf, and you gain some life. If no one's cast a spell during a turn, it will, in upkeep, flip and be a 4/4. Same deal. 2 or more spells cast, it'll flip, make another 2/2. Sort of just a value card.
Seems like a good one right now. Look at that guy. Look at that guy.
He's from Oregon.
He is from Oregon. All of you out-of-towners want to know what we're like here. Huntmaster of the Fells.
That's actually what we both look like in the booth right now.
100% what we look like in the booth. There's actually a lot of flannel here. Ian, where's your flannel?
Oh wow, we're going
We're gonna get
for
this
it.
done. Fire up the Colonnade.
I sort of don't like it, but I'm maybe a little bit more of a conservative player.
That's time and round.
I do think definitely if you're Jonas, if Jay is coming in with the Colonnade, you're kind of sensing weakness. Maybe Jay is running out of answers. So you jam even harder.
Well, you did see that Bird of Paradise get in there. Without the Huntmaster, though.
Bird's not on D. And that is something when you're playing blue-white, is you don't have Lightning Bolt, so you do just have to reduce your opponent's life total to 0 by attacking, or have a Planeswalker ultimate.
Ooh.
Tolsimir.
Tolsimir. Comes with friend. Mana leak. No Tolsimir. Back to Jay. Fire it up. Take you to 3.
Whew.
Jonas needs an answer, but I believe there's still a Niv Mizzet.
We got a
We're
mystical
seeing the Niv
dispute.
Mizzet.
Oh,
With
we're
Veil
gonna-
backup. Blam. Dispute. No. Force. Ah, and Jay takes it down in turns here. He's going to get the 2-1 over Jonas, and that's our round 1. We've got 3 more rounds of Paper Modern for you here tonight, so keep hanging out. We'll have a lot of fun. Maybe at some point we'll have time for a little flavor.
Oh yeah, we gotta have some flavor. But right now we're gonna take a break for a minute, and we'll be back probably in 3 or 4 minutes with round number 2 of 4 here at Modern Mondays in Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon.